First contact. The sleek reconnaissance vessel Stellar Probe glided silently through the asteroid belt of an unremarkable solar system. Captain Zara Vex, a seasoned explorer from the Krillian Stellar Consortium, studied the holographic displays with a mixture of boredom and professional detachment. Another routine mapping mission in the outer rim of the galaxy, or so she initially believed. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Crowell, adjusted the sensor arrays, his translucent skin shifting colors as he concentrated. "Captain," he called out, his voice a low, resonant hum, "we're detecting unusual electromagnetic signatures from the third planet." Zara's three eyes narrowed, focusing on the data stream. Earth. A primitive planet, barely capable of interstellar communication, supposedly developing its first rudimentary fusion technologies. The consortium's standard protocol was simple: observe, assess, and prepare for potential integration, or elimination. "Magnify the scan," she commanded. The holographic display expanded, revealing a complex network of signals that defied their initial assessment. These weren't the clumsy transmissions of a developing civilization. They were intricate, layered, almost adaptive. "That's impossible," Crowell muttered, his skin flickering between shades of confusion and alarm. The signals were changing, responding to the very act of being scanned. It was as if the communication network was alive, intelligent, watching them back. Lieutenant Arya, the ship's quantum communication specialist, leaned forward. Her specialized sensory tendrils extended, interfacing directly with the ship's advanced detection systems. "The signal patterns, they're not just responding. They're studying us." Captain Vex felt something she hadn't experienced in decades of space exploration: uncertainty. Standard first contact protocols dictated a methodical approach. Observe from a distance. Analyze technological capabilities. Determine the civilization's potential for integration or neutralization. But these signals challenged everything they knew. A sudden burst of data flooded their systems. Not an attack, not an invasion, something entirely different. Compressed information packages that seemed to be communicating something. "Translate," Zara commanded. The ship's quantum AI struggled, then produced a message that sent a chill through the entire crew. "We see you. Welcome to the conversation." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a greeting. It was an invitation. Crowell's skin turned a pale, translucent blue, the Krillian equivalent of going white with shock. "Captain, these signals are penetrating our most advanced encryption. They're not just detecting us, they're analyzing our entire communication infrastructure." The Stellar Probe carried technology centuries ahead of what the consortium believed any emerging civilization could comprehend. Quantum entanglement communication. Adaptive shielding. Predictive threat analysis. Yet somehow, this planet, Earth, was not just seeing through their technological defenses. They were engaging with them. "Send a standard reconnaissance ping," Zara ordered, her voice steady despite the growing tension. The moment the signal was transmitted, something extraordinary happened. The planetary signals didn't just receive the ping. They responded with a cascading array of data that seemed to simultaneously mock and analyze the Krillian transmission. It was as if Earth was saying, "We understand your technology better than you do." Lieutenant Arya's sensory tendrils began to tremble. "Captain, these signal patterns, they're not just communication. They're a form of distributed intelligence. Adaptive. Learning. Growing with each interaction." Zara had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. The Krillian Stellar Consortium had guided, controlled, or eliminated hundreds of developing species. But this? This was different. Earth wasn't just a potential target. It was a puzzle. A challenge. A warning. The Stellar Probe hung in space, surrounded by an invisible web of communication that seemed to pulse with an almost playful intelligence. Somewhere on the blue-green planet below, humans were doing something far more profound than simply existing. They were waiting. And the Krillian crew was beginning to realize that in this cosmic game, they might not be the ones in control. Technological Gambit. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before the International Technological Defense Council, her holographic presentation casting sharp blue light across the faces of the world's top scientists and military strategists. The encounter with the Krillian reconnaissance vessel had changed everything. "They think we're primitive," she began, a slight smile playing on her lips. "But primitives don't hack alien communication networks before breakfast." The room was a marvel of hidden technology. What appeared to be a standard conference center was actually the most advanced intelligence hub on the planet. Every surface was a quantum computing node, every wall lined with adaptive metamaterials that could reconfigure themselves at a moment's notice. General Marcus Chen leaned forward, his cybernetic eye scanning the presentation. "Break it down for us, Elena. What did we actually learn?" Elena's presentation shifted, revealing the intricate data patterns intercepted from the alien ship. "Their technology is advanced, but predictable. They rely on quantum entanglement communication with a hierarchical structure. We've already developed countermeasures that make their encryption look like a child's puzzle." A series of complex diagrams began to dance across the holographic display. Each showed how human programmers had not just intercepted the alien signals, but had begun to understand and manipulate them. "The Krillian Stellar Consortium operates on a centralized control model," Elena continued. "Their entire technological infrastructure is built on a top-down communication framework. We've identified multiple vulnerability points that we can exploit." Dr. Akira Tanaka, head of the Distributed Intelligence Research Division, interjected. "It's more than just a technical vulnerability. Their entire societal structure is rigid. They've been playing a control game for so long, they've forgotten how to adapt." The presentation zoomed in on the alien ship's communication patterns. What looked like complex encryption to the untrained eye was, to the human experts, a series of predictable protocols waiting to be dismantled. General Chen's cybernetic eye glowed with a calculated intensity. "We're not just going to defend. We're going to send a message." Elena's next slide showed a complex algorithm, a digital Trojan horse designed to infiltrate and analyze the alien communication network. "We're going to let them think they're in control while we map their entire technological infrastructure." The plan was audacious. Instead of a direct confrontation, humanity would wage a war of information and intelligence. Every probe, every scan, every attempt to gather intelligence about Earth would be turned back on the Krillians. "They sent a reconnaissance ship expecting to find a primitive civilization," Dr. Tanaka said, a rare smile breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. "Instead, they've walked into a trap of our own making." The council room hummed with a mixture of tension and excitement. This was more than a potential first contact scenario. This was humanity's chance to prove its worth on a galactic stage. General Chen's voice cut through the anticipation. "Prepare communication protocol Omega-9. We're going to send them a message they'll never forget." Outside the conference center, the world continued its normal rhythm. Millions of people went about their daily lives, unaware that a silent technological war was being waged, a war that would determine humanity's place in the cosmos. The Krillian Stellar Consortium thought they were coming to assess a potential acquisition or elimination target. They had no idea what was coming. The Quantum Leap. The Krillian High Command convened in their most secure communication hub, a massive spherical chamber suspended in the void of deep space. Captain Zara Vex stood before the Council of Stellar Administrators, her report hanging in the air as a holographic projection of barely contained chaos. "The Earth civilization is unlike anything in our records," she declared, her three eyes blinking in a pattern that betrayed her growing unease. "Our initial assessment was catastrophically incorrect." Counselor Dren, an ancient being whose body resembled a network of pulsing energy conduits, leaned forward. "Explain." Zara's presentation began to unfold. What started as a routine reconnaissance mission had transformed into something far more complex. Every attempt to analyze Earth's communication networks had been met with increasingly sophisticated countermeasures. "They're not just blocking our probes," Zara explained. "They're actively rewriting them. Our most advanced quantum encryption protocols are being dismantled and repurposed faster than we can generate them." The holographic display showed a cascading series of network intrusions. What appeared to be defensive maneuvers were actually precision strikes of information warfare. The humans weren't just defending, they were learning, adapting, transforming. Counselor Nira, whose crystalline form shifted with agitation, spoke. "This is impossible. No emerging civilization can penetrate our communication networks." But the evidence was undeniable. Somehow, the humans had not only detected the Krillian reconnaissance efforts but were now actively exploring the invaders' technological infrastructure. A new transmission flickered into existence. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't a threat. It was a message, composed entirely of the Krillians' own communication protocols, subtly altered. "We accept your invitation to communicate. Let's talk." The chamber went silent. Dr. Kiran Mehta, lead scientist of Earth's Quantum Disruption Project, watched the alien response from a hidden facility deep beneath the Andes Mountains. Surrounding him, a team of the world's most brilliant minds worked in near-silent concentration. "They're confused," Kiran muttered, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "And confusion is our greatest weapon." The human strategy was elegant in its complexity. Instead of a traditional defense, they were turning the aliens' own technology against them. Each probe, each attempt at surveillance, was being used to map the Krillian technological ecosystem. "Communication protocol complete," announced Dr. Sarah Chen, her quantum computing array humming with potential. "They have no idea we're already inside their network." Back in the Krillian chamber, Captain Vex continued her report. "Our initial estimates suggested a civilization at least 2 centuries from meaningful interstellar capability. Now, we're not sure of anything." Counselor Dren's energy conduits pulsed with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. What do they want? The question hung in the air, unanswered. The humans weren't following any known first contact protocol. They weren't aggressive. They weren't submissive. They were something entirely new. A civilization that saw technological invasion not as a threat, but as an opportunity. As the Krillian High Command debated their next move, they remained blissfully unaware that every moment of their discussion was being carefully analyzed, translated, and understood by the very civilization they had come to assess. The quantum leap had begun. And humanity was leading the way. Galactic negotiations. The diplomatic vessel Celestial Horizon hung in space, a neutral meeting point chosen with meticulous care. On one side, the Krillian delegation, a collection of the most powerful administrators, strategists, and communication experts from across their stellar consortium. On the other, a surprisingly small human delegation led by Ambassador Dr. Elena Rodriguez and General Marcus Chen. The meeting chamber was a marvel of technological neutrality. Adaptive translation matrices lined the walls, capable of interpreting not just language, but the subtle nuances of biological, technological, and psychological communication. High Counselor Zex, the lead Krillian negotiator, spoke first. His form was a complex arrangement of energy and matter, shifting with each word. "We are here to discuss the unprecedented breach of our communication protocols by your civilization." Elena Rodriguez smiled, a gesture that seemed to unsettle the alien delegation more than any verbal challenge could. "Breach," she repeated. "We prefer to think of it as an invitation to dialogue." The human delegation's appearance was deliberately understated. Where the Krillians arrived with elaborate technological augmentations and imposing energy signatures, the humans looked almost mundane. But those who understood knew that appearances were intentionally deceiving. General Chen activated a holographic display that began to map out the intricate network of interactions between human and Krillian technologies. "Let's be clear," he said. "You came to assess us. We responded by demonstrating our capabilities. The hologram showed how every Krillian probe, every attempt at surveillance, had been not just intercepted, but used as a tool for deeper understanding. It wasn't just defense, it was a form of technological jiu-jitsu that turned the invaders' own strength against them. Counselor Nira, her crystalline form vibrating with tension, interjected. You realize the implications of what you've done. You've penetrated communication networks that have remained secure for millennia. Security built on isolation is no security at all, Dr. Rodriguez countered. We saw your network not as a barrier, but as an opportunity for mutual understanding. The human approach was radically different from any civilization the Krillians had encountered. They weren't seeking conquest. They weren't preparing for defensive war. They were treating first contact as a collaborative problem-solving exercise. A series of data packets began to flow through the chamber's communication matrices. Complex algorithms that were simultaneously a demonstration of capability, a diplomatic communication, and a form of technological art. The Krillians found themselves simultaneously impressed, confused, and slightly terrified. We're proposing a new model of interstellar interaction, Elena explained. Not subjugation. Not elimination. But genuine exchange. The holographic display began to show alternative scenarios. Collaborative research projects. Shared technological development. A network of civilizations that grew together rather than competed for dominance. High Counselor Zex's energy patterns flickered, the Krillian equivalent of a stunned silence. You're suggesting we fundamentally restructure our entire approach to emerging civilizations? We're suggesting you've been playing a game with outdated rules, General Chen responded. The universe is more complex than conquest or control. The negotiation was unlike any in the Krillian Stellar Consortium's history. The humans weren't asking for protection. They weren't demanding rights. They were offering a partnership that challenged everything the Krillians understood about interstellar relationships. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a final presentation. It showed how human distributed intelligence systems could be integrated with Krillian communication networks, not as a takeover, but as a symbiotic enhancement. Imagine, she said, a communication network that doesn't just transmit information, but evolves with each interaction. That learns. That grows. The Krillian delegation exchanged glances. They were used to being the ones who offered technological uplift to lesser civilizations. Now, they found themselves being offered something they hadn't considered possible. A genuine evolution of their understanding. As the negotiations continued, one thing became clear: humanity wasn't just defending itself. It was rewriting the rules of first contact, one quantum signal at a time. A new cosmic order. 5 years after the initial encounter, the galaxy watched in astonishment as a new paradigm of interstellar cooperation emerged. The Krillian Stellar Consortium, once the undisputed masters of galactic diplomacy, found themselves transformed by their encounter with humanity. The Collaborative Stellar Network, a revolutionary concept born from human Krillian negotiations, began to reshape how civilizations interacted. Instead of hierarchical control, the new model emphasized distributed intelligence, mutual growth, and technological symbiosis. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Horizon Station, a massive orbital research facility that symbolized the new era. Around her, scientists from over 17 different species worked together, their communication transcending traditional linguistic and technological barriers. It was never about defeating them, she explained to a group of young diplomats and researchers. It was about showing them a different way of existing. The transformation hadn't been easy. The Krillian leadership had initially resisted, their entire civilization's infrastructure built on millennia of control and subjugation. But human technological diplomacy had revealed something profound: rigidity was the true enemy of progress. General Marcus Chen, now the lead coordinator of interstellar integration, reviewed the latest data streams. The distributed intelligence networks they had developed were solving problems that had seemed insurmountable for centuries. Climate restoration projects on dying planets. Energy distribution solutions for resource-poor systems. Communication breakthroughs that connected civilizations in ways never before imagined. Captain Sarah Chen, the very Krillian who had first encountered Earth, now led the collaborative exploration initiative. Her 3 eyes scanned the holographic displays showing unprecedented levels of scientific cooperation. The reconnaissance mission that was supposed to assess humanity had instead transformed the entire galactic paradigm. We were wrong about everything, Zara often reflected. Civilization isn't about control. It's about connection. The human approach had been revolutionary. Where other species saw technological capability as a weapon, humans saw it as a language. Each breakthrough was an invitation to dialogue. Each innovation, a bridge between cultures. On Earth, the International Technological Defense Council had been quietly transformed. No longer a defensive organization, it was now the hub of collaborative interstellar research. Dr. Kiran Mehta's quantum disruption technologies were now used to solve complex humanitarian challenges across multiple star systems. A new transmission came through the station's communication matrix. It was a collaborative research proposal from a previously unknown civilization at the galaxy's rim. The proposal was written using the adaptive communication protocols developed during the human-Krillian negotiations, a testament to how far things had come. "We're not just exploring space anymore," Elena told the young diplomats. "We're exploring the very nature of cooperation." The station's quantum communication array hummed with potential. Each signal was more than just a transmission. It was a conversation. An invitation. A promise of what could be. The Krillian Stellar Consortium's old motto, "Guide or Eliminate," had been replaced by a new understanding. Civilizations weren't meant to be controlled. They were meant to grow. To learn. To connect. As the Horizon Station continued its orbit, watching over a galaxy reimagined, one thing became clear: humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology. It was its ability to see potential where others saw only barriers. The cosmic conversation had only just begun.